We know that Disney is just completely pushing the weird LGBTQ agenda on everything. And I warned earlier this week in my video on Star Wars Skeleton Crew, the children's show that they're pushing, that episode 3 next week is going to push that agenda even harder. You can go watch that video if you need more information on that. But I would not allow your children to watch this at this point. So now there are insiders that are alleging Disney's working with GLAAD, which is the Gay Lesbian Alliance Against Discrimination, I think, is what it stands for. And they're pushing not only a gay agenda, but they're pushing an anti-white agenda confirmed. Now, we've seen it. I mean, you can see by their actions that this is the case. This is exactly what the Acolyte was. All the good people, all the Jedi were not white males, right? Except for the one guy who offed himself, who was just a weird incel who offed himself. Everybody else was a diverse and inclusive person somehow, and they pushed everything on that front. It was absolutely sick. And Disney also has been caught by James O'Keefe this year, of course, passing up white people for promotions into executive positions. In fact, it got to a point where a black guy was not black enough. He had lighter skin tone, and they wanted somebody with darker skin tone for that higher up position. Absolutely crazy. And so you can go find that information too. But this is interesting that our insiders are telling us just how deep this runs. And as much as Disney's realizing its failures recently, as the Acolyte absolutely failed, got canceled. They're trying to run that campaign to uncancel the Acolyte. It's not working. They've destroyed their branding, just both here and with the MCU as well. They're bleeding money, and they know it. But they just can't help themselves. That's why they're being very careful with it. Skeleton Crew, the first 2 episodes, if you go around, look at the critics, everybody's like, oh, it was fun. We liked it. Almost everybody universally agreed that this is a better show, despite the fact that it did the exact same casting sort of things. Like the boy's like a half-black dude. There's 2 girls, and then there's no white males, right? except for like the bad pirate people. Like it is always an impression that they're leaving on your mind intentionally at this point, which is weird because Star Wars' audience is a 70% white male audience, right? So why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense. They always used to say that they wanted to just make it look like the real world. Now it doesn't look like that. Now it looks like what they want the real world to look like, which is pretty evil. It's pretty racist if you'll get into it. And we're going to get into this news in just a moment as we follow up on all this. Smash the like and subscribe button. Join us here as we talk about all things in science fiction. Getting close to 50,000 subscribers, and I appreciate you being there. And I've actually written a nice alternative to Star Wars. If you guys really love action-packed, cool fiction, this is going to be for you. It is just balls to the wall action, a lot of fun. And so it's a 3-book trilogy, of course, in classic fashion, and it starts out right here. You'll love this. Go check it out in the description below. It's on ebook, print, and audio, and we'll of course appreciate you reading. So, Star Wars Insider has shared new details that Disney works alongside LGBTQ plus lobbyist groups and to push an anti-white agenda. Now, it's weird that the gay agenda is also anti-white. It's such a strange thing, but it is. What's going on. And Demian shared what his Star Wars insiders told him. He said how Disney looks at the audience. From what I was told, Disney looks at paying customer base in 2 specific groups. There's the modern audience and the one they want to cater to more than anything else. And then there's what they call the problematic audience, and that's you, chat. That's me. That's likely you as well. I was told by these sources Disney is pushing for what they call atomization, is to split the audience up and isolate them from each other. So when you play a game and see all the woke agenda in it, you feel like you're the only one who notices or cares. Very, very interesting. And this has been a standard SJW tactic for a long time. It's called isolate and swarm, right? And so they want to make you feel like you're alone, that you're not a part of this. And they're failing at it because there's so much commentary going on now. There's people like me calling things out and Demian calling things out. We're noticing, and we're not going to be silenced about it. And I honestly, I credit Elon Musk for buying X because I honestly think that if he didn't do that, and if that was not a free speech platform that allowed video and things like that, YouTube would not be able to. They would be trying to silence everybody more than ever before because they think they have a mandate to do so. And so them opening things up and making it so it's a little freer over here, not much, but it is, has really shifted the course of these companies being able to control the message and control the narrative, which is what they really, really want to do. And they can't. They literally can't at this point because we're more powerful, my friends. We are the news. than their media outlets that are just regurgitating their press releases at this point, and it's crushing it. It's wonderful. So the problem is people like us are getting together, calling out things, like I said, like this all the time. And so they want to scatter us with content they don't want until we all walk away while consolidating the modern audiences to speak instead to form a stronger base going forward into the future. I get the comments a lot, like, why do you talk about this? Why don't you just like give up on the thing, like and just go away from it? And this is the reason here. It's part of their marketing agenda to do that, because if we all just if it gets so bad that we just give up, then we're walking out of the public square is what it comes down to, and we end up losing, right? And that's a big problem. And we don't want to be out of the public square. We don't want to lose. We don't want them to just have the victory. So we have to keep calling it out. We have to keep saying, putting the pressure on, because that pressure, that social pressure, is going to be the only thing that ends up impacting them. They're not going to care about anything else. So that's why we do what we do, in a nutshell. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. If you need more explanation, let me know. Pretty much, they're doing this in hopes that the future is this modern audience. It becomes its own behemoth that's equal to or surpasses the current problematic audience, until eventually Disney is no longer required to cater to the wants and needs of the people they hate anyway. And so this is the deal. They're gonna push. They're gonna keep telling their executives, "Oh, it's a matter of time before this happens." But the modern audiences they talk about are not interested in this kind of content. That's where they're way off in what they're doing. Like the people who want badass space, sword fiction are typically white males. I hate to tell you, Disney. And I'm sorry you don't write for that audience, but I do, and I'm going to reap the benefits of it, and I appreciate it. While Sweet Baby Inc. is definitely a force to be reckoned with in its own right, there is a much bigger fish that controls even Sweet Baby from the strings above. The company is called GLAAD, and I told you about them at the start. As I'm told, they have insane amounts of power when it comes to what they want to see in the media, so much that they can even stand shoulder to shoulder with places like Disney when it comes to injecting DEI content going forward. And so they actually have LGBTQ inclusive films list, and of course they rate companies to try to mess with things and try to organize boycotts and the like. They then talked about how they despise anybody who's participating in Gamergate too. And if you guys have been following the problems with games lately, they've been going much the same way as movies and comics and everything else. Star Wars Outlaws pushed this Wynant character forward and failed because gamers didn't want it. Gamers rejected it. Sweet Baby Inc. is a consulting firm that pushes DEI into things, and all of their games are failing that they work on. As Dragon Age failed. It pushed pronouns onto everything. Suicide Squad killed the Justice League, another big brand property, absolutely failed because of its woke content. And so gamers are a group that they're very mad at, and they actually want to destroy us on every level. One of the biggest problems is all of us, right? They find the entire movement repulsive. They think that they are constantly worried and that anything and everything they make will get targeted by Gamergate too. Claiming that the power in the movement has snowballing to a point where the entire thing has grown into its own being that simply cannot be stopped. Disney specifically hates Gamergate 2 and wants it gone, but will not give up on the DEI agenda at large regardless. They truly think they can push these things until we accept them. That's it. That's the whole deal. And so that's what they're going to do with things like the Skeleton Crew now, guys, is they're going to make you like episodes 1 and 2 like this. They're going to go, oh, it's not that bad. Yeah, the casting's all kind of diverse, but there's no gay crap in it or whatever. I guess it's okay for kids. And then they're going to drop a little bomb that's just a little subtle and just get you to, like, it's like a frog boiling the pot. They know they push too fast, too far. But that doesn't mean they're going to stop pushing. That means they're going to be more subversive about it, that they're going to be more evil about it in trying to brainwash and manipulate you, and especially your children, in the hopes that when you die off, that your children are just going to be brainwashed into this and that they won't have to do anything anymore. That's how it goes. That's exactly the game plan now. Now, I've been told very similar by an insider at Ubisoft that the true believers are there. They're not firing anybody who's pushing this agenda, that those people are still going head on in that giant video game company as well. This is across mainstream entertainment, guys. It's movies, it's comics, it's video games, it's the publishing industry. That's why we have to fight hard. That's why we have to keep going. That's why we have to not back down and keep calling this stuff out over and over again. This is so insidious. So, the people running things, I'm told he's pretty much Kathleen Kennedy's right-hand man. This is James Wow, who's president of content and strategy. Whatever he says or votes speaks for her as well. And then there's Douglas Riley, who's specifically in charge of the games division when it comes to Disney. And this annoyed his sources, is that the board has ultimate power to completely veto and block anything using their IP from ever coming out. This means if you spend money making something, but Disney it doesn't like it, too bad, because you have zero say, even though Disney themselves have not spent a single cent on the project. And that's normal for IPs and brands. I'm going to hit IPs and brands very, very hard. I'm going to do another video tomorrow on novelizations and just how authors are just screwed and just get themselves into these situations where all they do is make IP content and it ruins their careers. I'll be covering that shortly, guys, as well. But this is it. Disney is hellbent on destroying white characters. They don't want a white male audience anymore. They want the modern audience, which we've already known, but this is from the inside now. It's being confirmed. And this is going to be coming in the video games to come. This is going to be coming in the TV shows to come. You can expect it to be much the same. Don't be fooled by the early reviews of Star Wars The Skeleton Crew. Again, it is a subversive property and intentionally aimed at children to try to push the race agenda and to push the LGBTQ agenda. So make sure to keep your kids away from it. Leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Hit the like and the subscribe button. Make sure to grab an alternative to Disney. Support the alternatives, guys, because we need to build our own ecosystem here. You're going to love this if you love old Star Wars. It's in the description below. Ebook, print, and audio. Really appreciate you for being there, and we'll be back soon.